Hello and welcome to another week of Rainy Readings. I'm Bleeding Raindrops, your host. My beard is coming in nicely. And this week I'm going to be reading Princesses Don't Potty by CDRW. Um, I've looked through the comments and My Little Life on Mars seems to want a very specific Australian accent. I can't really do specifics because they're terrible enough as it is. But I'll give you my best shot. So, once again, this was not actually the most voted story, but it was the most voted story that is PG-13. Uh, Only because I'm very excited to read. I'll tell you after I read this one. Um, as soon as I'm done reading this one, when the hour is up at 7:08 my time, which is exactly an hour from now. When it's up, I'll let you know what the one is that I plan to read later tonight because I looked at it and I was about as excited to read it as you are. So let's see. Celestia wants Twilight and her friends to loosen up a little bit around here. Luna just wants to try the hard cider, of course. During a surprise visit to Sweet Apple Acres at the tail end of cider season, Princess Luna has had just a bit too much to drink. She's drunk, and of course, as we all know, the cider in Ponyville is actually alcoholic. Otherwise, it wouldn't fizz up. It wouldn't foam up. And when she makes a rather inappropriate joke, Twilight comes to the very uncomfortable realization that she's never seen Princess Celestia excuse herself to use the bathroom. And then that image there. So this should be interesting. I don't know if I'll get through all of this. I'll probably get through about half of it, so the first 3 chapters. So let's see what we can do, especially if I don't have too many comments, which I probably will. I tend to have a lot of those. So let's get started. Chapter 1, Princesses Don't Drink. Why is page is still loading? I hate when this happens. It doesn't scroll because the page is loading. Alright. Chug, 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 chug. Rainbow Dash. Sorry. It's so close to a British accent, I just get so confused. Rainbow Dash pounded her hooves on the table, punctuating each shout with a bang while she cheered Luna on. Applejack, Rarity, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, and even a thoroughly uncomfortable Twilight looked in on amazement while Princess Luna downed an entire 5-gallon cask of hard cider in less than a minute, getting right into the action here. Celestia tried her best to pretend that Luna wasn't there, choosing to daintily nurse her mug of non-alcoholic cider instead of saying anything. The stuff tasted better anyway. Luna wiped the foam from her mouth with her foreleg, and loosed a belch that rattled all the windows in Applejack's home, and smashed the cask on the floor, shouting, "'Tis good! Bring us another!" All the onlooking ponies dropped their jaws in unison. Even Celestia coughed into her mug before she set it down and said, "Don't you think you've had enough, Luna?" "Yeah, you already showed me up. You won the bet," Rainbow Dash chimed in, digging into the saddlebags on the bench next to her. She pulled out 10 bits and promptly hoofed them over to the Dark Princess. Now, I don't like saying Dark Princess because it makes her sound more evil, and Nightmare Moon might have been, well, a little cold-hearted, not particularly evil. I mean, what was it Nightmare Moon even wanted to do? That she wanted to get the elements of harmony before the others. Yay! I got her first. Yay! I mean, it's like a game of capture the flag almost, and she almost won, but Twilight won. So yay! Nothing too evil there. But Luna is always been my favorite princess. I really just I like her better. So do not bash the princess. Please do not call her dark. I lost my place here. I always lose my place. Um, Totally worth the bits too. Nonsense! Luna swayed slightly as she stood up and put her hooves on the table. "When thou proposed that wager, thou insinuated that we could not hold our liquor, and we aimed to show thee the true extent of thine error. Thou hast not even begun to witness our drinking prowess." She hiccuped, blinked, and then after a moment's hesitation, belted out, "Forsooth!" Celestia very neatly face-hoofed right in front of her little ponies. Ah, my little ponies. But she checked herself just in time. Instead, the princess caught Twilight's eye and mouthed, "I'm so sorry about this." Her apology didn't seem to do any good, though. Instead of calming Twilight down, it only seemed to make her already uncomfortable that much more agitated. I'm awful sorry, Your Highness, Applejack said to Luna. But that was all the cider we had anyway. Luna blinked once. The cider is gone? I'm afraid so, Princess. Why is the cider gone? Why is the rum always gone? Even Celestia's masterful self-control was not enough to stop a sigh from slipping out. As soon as Luna proposed coming to sample the cider, Celestia had known that it wouldn't turn out well. So Luna had plied her... Plied? Maybe. Not really sure about that one. With a rather convincing speech about finally getting Twilight and her friends to loosen up a little around them, though. And before she knew it, she found herself making an unannounced visit to Sweet Apple Acres at the tail end of cider season. Dear sister, language isn't the... Which... Luna made this argument, right? Luna? Yes. Dear sister, language isn't the only thing that's changed in the last 1,000 years. No pony approves of boozing it up these days. That cask was probably all the alcohol in Ponyville. Regardless, you... See what you did here? Look at this, author. You... As soon as Luna... she plied her, whatever. You're playing up Luna has made an argument. Most writers... If they haven't... Usually, if you haven't named who's speaking here, I'm going to assume it's the last person I've seen referred to as speaking, so I think this is Luna. And I just used the voice I used for Luna. This is Celestia right here. Yes, I know you started the paragraph with Celestia couldn't help aside something out, but you should add some indication that Celestia is the one saying this, and not Luna. No pony approves? No pony approves? No pony approves? I think that was one too many. What in the unexplored depths of Tartarus oceans convinced all the ponies in Equestria to turn into teetotalers? Every pony's eyes turned to Celestia for her answer, wanting to know where this was going. I'm afraid that was me, Luna. It's a rather unhealthy hobby. The eyes of all the I'm a little lost here. No pony approves of boozing. The eyes of all the ponies in the room swung back to Luna as her jaw dropped in astonishment. You? Celestia simply nodded her affirmation. You just decided that every pony should give up the best invention since fire? And they went along with it? It took considerably more effort than what you make it sound like, but yes, it is amazing what you can accomplish with 1,000 years of concerted effort. But they listened to you? The pony who wagered the fate of all of Equestria on a drinking contest with Luna's Diane Fastine. First of all, I'm really not sure Celestia would ever raise her voice. Like that. I mean, even against Chrysalis, she really didn't raise her voice much. Discord either. She doesn't tend to raise her voice very much. Second of all, why is she using Luna's full name, which, once again, why did I scroll down here? Luna's full name, which, by the way, I can't even say with a straight face, and, I did not miss this. Faust is the protagonist of a classic German legend, a highly successful scholar, but one dissatisfied with his life, who therefore makes a pact with the devil, exchanging his soul for unlimited knowledge of what? Thought he was going to actually come up with Lauren Faust, which you can almost spell with these letters. If you finish that sentence, you will be dining on moon dust for the next 10,000... No, I don't... I really don't agree with this line. I don't think Celestia would ever say this. I think this is completely out of character. And she's not drunk, so this is not going to fly. Before she even realized she'd moved, Celestia found herself standing with her front hooves on the table, right across from Luna, her chest heaving up and down. Again, I think this is very out of character. She looked around apprehensively to see how the other ponies were taking her outburst. When she noticed that Fluttershy was hiding under the table and Twilight had fallen off the bench, she sat back down and buried her face in her mug as a raging heat bloomed on her face. She was blushing, and once again, I don't think this is Celestia. Did she have a little too much to drink? She wasn't drinking. She was drinking non-alcoholic stuff. Why did you do this, author? Ah, still a touchy subject, we see, Luna commented, though we do not understand why. 'Twas a glorious victory. Celestia murmured into her mug low enough that she hoped nobody else would hear. Straight to the moon, Luna. I swear, straight to the moon. Fear not, sister, dear sister of mine. We will not embarrass thee any farther with tales of thy former glory, for thou art boring and ugly. We would much rather talk about other ponies who aren't, like Fluttershy. A muffled eep leaped out from under the table. There is no need to hide from us, fair Fluttershy, for we have nothing but admiration for thee. Thou art kind, and have excellent childbearing hips. What? Childbearing hips? Uh, 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 Luna, is there something you want to tell us? Luna put the back of her hoof to her fore. Uh, uh, no, no, you, no, no. I, um, it, this is. Uh, how would that even work? I just, I. Say hello to Nibbler, everyone. Yes, yes, go over there. Go outside, you big oaf. Right. Alas, it was not meant to be. We remember the laws, for we wrote them ourselves. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, whosoever lieth down with a mother mare as she with a stallion shall be, shall be gelded. Luna's horn glowed, and a flailing Fluttershy floated out from under the table and into a crushing embrace. Why is Luna? No, no, Luna. Just I, I is I am almost okay with Luna wanting to be in bed with Fluttershy for enjoyment and pleasure purposes, but for child bear, I just did really just Luna's angle and fear not, fair Fluttershy, she whispered softly as the royal Canterlot voice, as softly as the royal Canterlot voice would allow. We will not let them geld you. It, 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 she's drunk. She's drunk. Drunk logic. Drunk logic. Drunk logic. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Drunk logic. You hear that, sister? We will not let you geld one hair on her head. That was enough. Celestia stood up. Luna jumped in surprise at the sudden movement, dropping the now comatose Fluttershy, which she would be. With a barely contained snarl, Celestia, what is your problem? Um, Author, I don't think you understand just how it's not. Celestia does not get angry. She's 1,000 years old. She probably got angry in her youth, but she understands that ponies make mistakes, and When you're thousands of years old, patience becomes one of your biggest attributes, I would imagine. It just, she understands and she's very patient and she does not get angry with. I mean, she would be frustrated or disappointed with Luna, but she would not raise her voice. I just. Uh, she's much more mature than Luna is, which is sort of what makes Luna a little more fun, I think, in my eyes. Luna is kind-hearted, um, but she doesn't seem to have the experience that Celestia has. Celestia is Luna is a kindred spirit, um, with the power to walk in other ponies' dreams, as we saw in Sleepless in Ponyville, which I was so happy for. Had two of my favorite ponies in it, but I just this is not who Celestia is. This isn't Celestia, and I am very disappointed in the author. This should have been sent to someone who is good with characterization. Farewell, my little ponies. We are off to Canterlot, where a most splendid laboratory awaits us, and which we most happily anticipate visiting, for we must soon take a royal whiz or else perish. Shut up, Yuna, and don't use royal we when you say things like that. At last, I suppose you were trying to say. At last, the assembled ponies. Oh, no, my mistake. Cold read here. The last the assembled ponies saw of the princess that night was Luna waving at them right before the door slammed shut behind her. The last thing they heard was Luna's voice, not in the least muffled by the door. Ha ha, it mattereth not how hard thou slappest our face, for we are drunk and cannot feel pain. Well, at least she knows she's drunk. Drug logic. My goodness, it's incredible the logic that my my brother. I never experienced a college party, sadly, because I guess I was the stickler for the rules, and I was the RA I was one of the honest RAs, so no one ever invited me to parties because they were afraid I was going to snitch on them. Apparently, someone had a cat in my building for like 2 weeks that I never knew about because they kept it quiet. It didn't make a lot of sound, and they just never told me about it. And they would hide it if I was to come over. I don't know. They did a real good job of hiding it. I never knew about it. But anyway, either that or I'm just really easy to hide things from. Point is, my brother tells me that at one of the parties he had, that people were drunk. The next day, he would try to clean up after them because they and he found a bagel in the freezer. Apparently, someone set it down, intended to come back for it later, and then when they woke up, no longer drunk, but probably with a massive hangover, forgot about it. Ah, there's a bagel in the freezer. Drunk logic. Anyways, let's see. The deep recesses of Twilight's mind were not in good shape. In fact, if any pony could have seen what was going on, they probably would have gone running to find an exorcist post haste, or an engineer. Her friends were doing something, and they were doing it loudly, but she couldn't spare one iota of her brain power to comprehend how they were reacting to what they had just seen. She was too busy trying to keep the various parts of her psyche from crumbling to dust, as she pondered what she'd just seen. Princess Celestia losing her cool, which never happens, author. And Princess Luna drunk as a skunk. How drunk does a skunk get? That emotional trauma could wait a bit while she dealt with the more important stuff. Princess Celestia was embarrassed by her sister. It was a revolutionary thought, a thought that it shouldn't. A thought that should not have been thought by the mind of a mere mortal like Twilight Sparkle. I don't know. I think things all the time. I, obviously you thought of this, CDRW. I mean, mortals are obviously capable of this. The fact that thought did not instantly drive her insane would have been considered proof of a higher, benevolent power by many ponies had they known. The very foundation of Twilight's world had just shifted. If Princess Celestia could be embarrassed about her sister like any other pony, what else did that mean? Why did she hate getting up in the mornings, or worry about her weight? Did she ever have to look up words in a dictionary? Rusted gears started to turn. Ancient mechanisms that had long lay dormant began to stir. Twilight was already on the edge. The stress of these new movements thing. It locks it into your head. Rainbow Dash is about to speak. And then speaking line, that must be Rainbow Dash. That's how this works. If you're going to mention Luna way up when, I'm going to assume that the next person speaking is Luna. This is how the mind works, sort of. The first words that appeared as Twilight's veil of thoughts were accompanied by the uncontrolled laughter of a certain cerulean pony. Can you believe it? Princess Luna was right here, in this very room, making puns about using the bathroom. No. The thought was not an answer to Rainbow Dash's question, but rather an order to herself. She was on the verge of having a thought to end all thoughts, a thought that, once thunk, could never be unthought. Thunk is not past perfect of thought. In fact, there is no past perfect of thought, it's just thought. I see what you're trying to do, but no. Especially since you've got inconsistency here, because once thought could never be unthought, those are actually the same tense. Thought and thunk there would be the same tense, and you're inconsistent. So, inconsistent tenses there. That's another error. You see, Equestria Daily would never have accepted this, because they mostly care about grammar. It could be a crap story, and if you've got perfect grammar, you're good. I mean, they go a little more in depth than that, but that's what I've observed anyways. She could not think that thought, no matter what. It was her duty as a bearer of the element of magic, as a student, as a pony. Camelot is a long way away. You think she's gonna make it in time? Every fiber, Pinkie Paw helped. Every fiber of her being cried out in protest, trying to arrest the thought before it could manifest. She knew. She knew that if she tried really hard, she could forget about what happened here tonight. And if that thought manifested, she could never turn back. Down that path lay madness. I don't think I've ever seen Celestia excuse herself to use the bathroom. A sound, not unlike a sheet of glass as large as the world itself, cracking and crumbling into quadrillions of shards, tore through her mind at the deepest, darkest gear in her psyche turned a hair's breadth. Twilight Sparkle screamed. Very nice delivery of the punchline. I really think that Celestia was way out of character. I did not like it one bit. I think you could give a little more thought to your grammar as well. But other than that, it was very nice. I'm going to look at the next chapter now. Chapter 2, Matters of the Faith. The first thing Twilight realized when she regained consciousness was that Discord was the original god of Equestria. What a thing to realize. That should be a M dash, if I'm not mistaken, although I could be mistaken. The omnipotent being who created everything that was, is, and will be. The proof was in every nature of the universe itself. A more malevolent being would have created a hellish wasteland filled to the brim with suffering, while a benevolent one would have ensured that when she woke up, it would be sans any memory of last night. Okay, I get where you're going there. Twilight's brain, in a desperate effort to spare what was left of her crumbling sanity, immediately purged itself of the first realization as disturbing theological implications in order to deal with the much more important issue of the second, that she remembered last night with perfect clarity. See, look what you did here. Making a point, state the point. She was trying to, the important issue of the second, that issue is that she remembered last night with perfect clarity. And then here, Discord was the original god of Equestria. What he is, the omnipotent being who created everything. What that is, the original god of Equestria, the omnipotent being who created everything that it was, is, and will be. That ought to be an M dash, just like you've got down here. So I know you know how to use them. Since her brain and the universe hadn't done the responsible thing and repressed the memory while she slept, she had to figure out some other way to deal with it. Thinking was inevitable. Twilight thought, therefore she was, and Twilight was, therefore she thought. We're getting real philosophical here. All she could do was try to channel it in the right direction. The right direction being straight into a wall, or, barring that, off a cliff. Thus was the careful reasoning behind her first thought of the day. Of course I haven't seen Princess Celestia excuse herself to use the restroom. What kind of princess announces to the world that she needs to potty? As first thoughts went, it wasn't bad. Not bad at all. It solved the dilemma admirably. It explicitly answered the question at the core of the issue, satisfying both reason and curiosity without delving too deep into the subject matter. She would have preferred something that completely invalidated the idea that Celestia ever used the bathroom as a first thought, but she would take what she get. I really like the thought process here, because it's very characteristic of what Twilight would be. She's a nerd. She likes to analyze things. I know this because I've done the same thing. You go very, very far into the details, almost to the point of insanity, and you just explain everything there is to be explained. And so this actually works quite well with her psyche, because you can tell this is a nerd thinking all this. And it just goes into such detail. So I really like what you did there. If only your Celestia was done so well. In short, everything was good. Her sanity was battered but intact, and she could move on to other important matters, like discovering a fundamental particle of friendship in order to complete her ununified model of magic. Twilight slowly opened her eyes, and that was when she made her third discovery, that she had been sleeping in her own bed at the library. It was a slightly perplexing discovery, since she didn't remember ever going home, but one that she embraced happily because it lent credence to the new and wonderful theory that last night was all just a particularly vivid nightmare. The first thing Princess Luna realized when she regained consciousness was that Discord was the original god of Equestria, the omnipotent being who created everything that was, is, and will be. I can't wait to read this. The proof was in every nature of ponykind itself. No one else had the sense of humor it took to invent the hangover. You stupid. Just drink water. All you have to do is remember, just not get yourself so drunk that you forget to drink water before you go to bed. Then you won't have a hangover, because what a hangover is dehydration. And as many of us know, 90% of headaches are due to dehydration. Your body is like, oh, he's not drinking water. We need to get him to drink water. We need to get his attention somehow. Headaches, pain, that will do it. Hey, 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 wake up, wake up, wake up, drink water, you need water, you're dehydrated, come on. That's what it is. That's what the headache is. That's what a hangover is. It's your body trying to get your attention and say, hey, we're low on water over here, go drink some water. That's what 90% of headaches are. And that's what a hangover is. If you just drink water before you go to bed, you won't be as dehydrated, and you'll wake up without a hangover. Most of the time. Sometimes you just really can't help it. The second thing she realized was that her sister was standing over her bed watching her sleep. That's creepy. I mean, they even made a reference to it in the what song was that? It was The Friendship Was Witchcraft. Soon we did everything together. He taught me how to fly a kite. I watched him grow into a stallion. I watched him sleep in bed at night. It's not creepy. That was great. Oh, and then when Twilight, the book series, like Team Jacob or Team Edward. I'm like, so stalker or pedophile? Because he was a stalker. I mean, he has nothing to do at night. So what does he do? He watches her sleep. How creepy is that? Anyways, point is, Luna groaned. As realizations go, that was a very unsettling one to have while in the throes of alcohol-induced agony. If there was one thing she had learned over the millennia, it was that whenever Celestia watched you sleep, bad things happened when you woke up. Is bad things a name or something? Is that why it's capitalized? Whatever. Those bad things, again capitalized, involve the Royal Canterlot voice. Good morning, Luna. Good morning, Luna, Celestia said in a voice oozing with malice. I believe you have a letter to write. Pretending to still be unconscious was not an option, so Luna did the next best thing. She emptied the contents of her stomach all over Celestia's hooves. Oh, yes. The resulting shriek was eardrum shredding, skin peeling, brain pulping music to her ears. Ha ha! The headache has been doubled! Twilight threw back the covers and hopped out of bed, humming cheerfully as she set about her morning routine. Since it was all just a dream, she was freed from the need to worry about what had happened. She showered, brushed her mane, went downstairs to see what Spike had prepared for breakfast, and the entire time not a single stray thought about the micturition habits, that is a new word, I'll have to look that up later, of Alicorns crossed her mind. Twilight walked downstairs, and as she approached the kitchen, she heard several voices coming from the other side of the door, including one suspiciously like Rainbow Dash asking when the food was going to be done. As she came closer, the rest of the voices resolved into those of her friends chatting over the top the sound of clattering of kitchenware. If you're so anxious to get your victuals, maybe you could stand to give the rest of us a helping hoof. Applejack's voice snapped. Nah, you've got things covered. I just get in the way. Right, Rarity? Pinky, you don't put frosting on pancakes. See? Rarity agrees. Pinkie Pie is a pastry chef, and I'm pretty sure she'd be able to oh, no, wait. No, sorry. Yes, Pinkie Pie would totally put frosting on pancakes. Twilight eased the door open with a bit of trepidation, she was rewarded for her efforts with a room full of silent, staring ponies. Applejack was standing over the stove with a spatula in her mouth and an unflipped pancake on the end. Rainbow Dash hovered near the ceiling in the center of the room, and Rarity and Pinkie Pie stood next to a plate that was heaped with a towering pile of flapjacks, the former levitating a butter knife covered in frosting that she had evidently just taken away from Pinkie Pie. Fluttershy was pouring orange juice into a row of glasses on the counter, and the second to last one was overflowing. Spike sat alone at the table, munching on a bowl of gems and milk. Good morning, every pony, Twilight greeted them cheerfully as she eyed the stack of pancakes. Those look good. Is there a special occasion? Rarity was the first to recover her composure. Tossing the butter knife into the sink with a dirty look at Pinkie Pie, she said, Good morning, Twilight. No, there's no special occasion. We just felt like it would be good to have breakfast ready for you when you woke up. She simultaneously guided Twilight over to a seat at the table and floated the plate of pancakes down in front of her. Then she took the now empty pitcher from Fluttershy and grabbed a dish towel with her magic to try and wipe up the puddle of orange juice on the floor. How are you feeling, by the way? Oh, I'm great, Twilight said as she dug her fork into the pancake. I slept wonderfully, and it sure is a beautiful morning outside. The weather team looks like they went all out today. Nah, we're just that good, Rainbow Dash said as she swooped down low to take a seat next to Twilight. The blue Pegasus stole a pancake off her plate and started munching on it, speaking around a mouthful of food as she went on. You sure you're all right, though? Twilight cocked a quizzical eyebrow at her friend. I want to know what they did to Twilight. Oh, wait, I think I already see it coming. It's gonna be something like something out of The Hangover. When she suddenly had that thought, she just went completely insane and probably just kind of went completely insane, went on like a raving rampage or something. Destroyed half the town, something like that. And they're just cleaning up and better. Like, of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? Oh, it's just that you seemed a little upset last night, Fluttershy said quietly. She on Twilight's other side. I think you meant to add as she sat down on Twilight's other side. Last night? Yeah, Pinkie Pie exclaimed. You know, last night when you went, yeah, and then fainted. That's usually Rarity's thing, and it seemed kind of weird you did it, so we carried you home. Well, actually, Big Macintosh carried you home because you're heavier than you look, and we decided to have a slumber party at your place and make you breakfast when you woke up so that you wouldn't go crazy and cast a spell that makes every pony in town love boiled spinach. That sounds like Pinkie Pie. Twilight took a moment to swallow a bite of pancake before replying, I don't remember that. Applejack's disbelieving voice broke into her good with, you don't remember the princesses stopping by and our cider tasting? Princess Luna getting so hammered that Celestia had to go and— No! Twilight leveled her fork at her friend. That was all a dream. It didn't happen. Princess Luna never drank any hard cider, and Princess Celestia didn't get embarrassed about her, and Princess Luna didn't make any drunken toilet puns, and I never, ever, ever thought about how I haven't ever seen Celestia excuse herself to use the bathroom, and that doesn't matter anyway, because princesses don't potty. The only sounds that broke the dead silence in the room were those of Spike belching a long plume of fire and the soft plop of a rolled-up scroll as it fell to the table. Once again, great delivery. I am interested to read the next chapter. By the way, I like Pinkie Pie and her rants and her randomness, and I like it. Actually, a little jealous. From the desk of Princess Luna. Dear Twilight Sparkle, my sister informs me that I owe you and your friends an apology for my behavior last night. I cannot verify the truth of that claim because I do not remember said events very clearly, but the magnitude of my headache lends credence to her assertion. Thus, I offer my apology. I am sorry. I'm sorry for consuming the entire alcohol stash at Sweet Apple Acres on a bet. I am sorry for embarrassing every pony. I am sorry for making jokes about disgusting bodily functions, which we, as immortal alcorns, don't have anyway. There is. On a related joke, my legal counsel, Fine Print, informs me that some of my alleged actions last night would fall under the headings of sexual harassment and veiled fat jokes, both of which are punishable by stiff fines and possible jail time. Really? I suppose. Thus, I ask that if Fluttershy is not currently present while you read this letter, you pass it on to her when you are done. Fluttershy, if I did in fact say that you have excellent childbearing hips, it was not meant in any way to imply that you have a large posterior. It is a compliment that I fear has lost some meaning during the time I was away from Equestria. It simply means that you are built to have— oh dear, Luna, just stop talking right now. Built to have babies. I would like to point out, though, that in my day a little extra padding around the rump was considered extremely attractive. I still do not understand this age's obsession with ponies who look like they've seen the ugly end of a 10-year famine. Since I refuse to start this letter over because I just want to go back to bed and sleep until my headache disappears, my sister insists that I mention I am not still fully acquainted with modern social mores, and please don't sue. It would do you no good to sue anyway, as Parliament has not deemed fit to grant me a royal allowance yet. They seem to think that I would just spend it on frivolous things like socks or giant spiders stuffed with pillow material. For some reason, they don't believe me when I tell them that I would purchase no more than one of each per week. Please just stop talking, Luna. You're just digging the hole. I'm going to hand you a shovel in a minute. Also, in regards to the issue of what I may have not have said to Fluttershy, it has come to my attention that the laws to which I allegedly referred, the ones forbidding ponies of the same sex from entering into marriage relationships, were apparently repealed quite some time ago. Thus, you're free to pursue a relationship you should so desire without any fear of being gelded. Also, it is physically impossible to geld a mare, something that an animal caretaker such as you probably already knows, but which the doctor who is currently treating my hangover feels I should mention anyway. He seems to feel that I do not have a very sound grasp on the basic concepts of biology, probably stemming— are you referring to anatomy? There's a difference. Probably stemming from my earlier remarks about immortal alicorns not needing to go to the bathroom. I fear that I shall never be able to disabuse him of that notion, since he was not present for the conversation that led to the creation of that bottom 11. In conclusion, I am sorry for my conduct last night. It was inappropriate and unbefitting of a princess. I have learned my lesson about consuming large quantities of alcohol, and the severity of my headache is more than sufficient to make me swear it off altogether. Your friend and princess, Luna. P.S. Praise Discord, Sally's finally gone to look for some sealing wax, and I can write it without her breathing down my neck. I have to be quick about this, so forgive my brevity. Applejack, if my hangover is any indication, that was the best batch of booze I've ever had. Please send me the recipe. Twilight, I need you to send a book that will teach me how to build a still in my room. Thank you, every pony, for the wonderful night I'm sure we had. That part was a complete lie. I am not sorry at all, because it sounds like it was hilarious, and Sally's being stupid about it anyway. She has always been a humongous prude and a bit of a loony when it comes to stuff like that, though you didn't hear it from me. Do you know that I've never once seen her so much as enter an outhouse? That's how crazy she gets about the subject. If you ask me, she's being a gigantic hypocrite about it too. She's always whining on and on about how she wishes Pony was just treated like another pony instead of an immortal princess. And then has me write something like that. In the parlance of today's youth, that's totally whack. I say that knowing better than anyone else what it means to be loony. Okay, Luna sounds like a child. Like, I really, I, it's, you've got like a child, you've got like a mother-daughter relationship going on here, and I'm not a fan of it. Really, I like them to stay in character, unless the point is that they're not in character. And in fact, I'm writing a story for exactly that purpose, which I need to find the time to finish. Because I think it would be totally hilarious if well, actually, I shouldn't go into details because then I'm going to give everyone else ideas, and then the story's going to be written before I even come up with it. So, that. Twilight reread the letter. Twilight reread the letter again. Twilight reread the letter 42 more times, because 42 is the answer to everything. Just as she was staring on her 45th reading, she felt a hoof on her shoulder, shaking her awake. Twi? Applejack asked. You alright? You've been staring at that letter for a right long while, and you're starting to make some ponies a bit nervous. Yes, Verity added. It was most certainly an interesting letter, but you seem to be rather more occupied with it than is healthy. Does this have anything to do with you collapsing last night, or that outburst of yours? You gave us an awful fright, and we'd like to avoid that again if possible. Oh! Twilight's head popped like a jack-in-the-box. She looked around and realized she was still in the kitchen. Her friends were all still there, and they were looking at her with very peculiar expressions. That wouldn't do at all. With a gulp and a strained smile, Twilight reassured them. I'm fine. More than fine. I'm great. Thank you for breakfast, girls. It was really good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I have some homework to do. What was it again? Oh yeah, I need to invent a unified theory of magic. Celeste is counting on me, and I can't let her down, you know? I can't waste any time thinking about that stuff which doesn't matter and which mortal minds were not meant to comprehend anyway. So if you excuse me, I'll be in my laboratory figuring out how to break the universe. Toilette's right eye twitched as she surveyed the kitchen one more time. Spike was still eating his breakfast, and every pony else was staring at her. Every pony except for Fluttershy, that is. She was hiding under the table for some reason. One day, one quantum magical explosion, 3 gallons of chocolate ice cream, and an intervention later, Twilight was feeling a little better. Not much better, but still better. Well, enough to discuss the problem with her friends without trying to tear reality from its foundations and wad it up in a little crumpled ball like it was a Cthulhu written book on the tail of Ginger, and that was all she could ask for. Has this become a thing now? Scootaloo written. I mean, I know I'm writing a story called A Really Bad Story, which you should not go read because it's absolutely terrible. Where Scootaloo tries to write a fan fiction and it turns out terribly. It's supposed to be a comedy, but I'm terrible at the comedy. Um. Anyways, has that become a thing? I'm going to continue reading. Now that you've calmed down, Twilight, Rarity said soothingly, I think it's time you told us what is on your mind that has got you so upset. Pinkie Pie and Applejack nodded along with her from their seat on Twilight's couch. But Twilight has a couch? Fluttershy, who was sitting in an armchair by the wall, squeaked. The only pony in the room who wasn't sitting down was Rainbow Dash, which sounds just like her, who was flying in slow circles around the ceiling, patrolling in case Twilight tried to bolt again. Twilight wasn't going to run, though. She'd done enough running. She was through with running. This was the time to do everything else. This was the time to cry her little pony heart out on the fainting couch that Rarity had generously lent her. Okay, Twilight doesn't have a couch. It's Rarity's couch. It's also wrong! What is? Pinkie Pie asked, annoyingly perky despite Twilight's distress. Did you learn that you failed the Crystal Empire test after all? Or did you remember that Cheerily still has an overdue book out? Or did you find that Big Macintosh likes Stallion? Dude, no, Pinkie, never say that again, okay? I ship you with Big Macintosh. Macintosh. Your plans for world domination are sadly mistaken. Or, I know, the Hugs Boson? Was just a wild goose chase. Twilight peered up through bleary eyes at Pinkie Pie, who had suddenly disappeared on the couch with her face too close to Twilight's, and asked the first question that popped into her mind at the exact same time as a very startled Macintosh. Macintosh like stallions? Probably not, dear, Rarity said as she levitated Pinkie Pie away from Twilight. Pinkie Pie is just being herself again, but she is heading in the right direction at least. What is wrong? Surely it can't be anything so terrible that you truly feel you need to, and I quote, break the universe. She remembers that from so many weeks ago. Twilight, this was a few weeks ago. It was one day. Oh, one day. Never mind. I thought it was several weeks for some reason. Twilight sniffed and curled up into the fetal position. Does this have to do with what you said about Princess Celestia using the restroom? Twilight nodded. Pinkie Pie tried to hop onto Twilight's couch again, but her movement was hampered by the fact that Rarity still hadn't put her down, so she ended up just flailing helplessly in the air. Ooh, I think I get it now! Pinkie, Rainbow Dash sighed as she drive back. Can't you just let Rarity handle it? It was too late, though. Pinkie Pie's mouth was already up to full speed. You're upset because you found out that Celestia is just like normal ponies because she gets embarrassed about her sister and loses her cool and all that stuff, and you were just going to ignore it and move on when Luna made a joke about how to take a royal whiz. And all of a sudden you realized that meant that Luna used the toilet just like anyone else, and that meant Celestia used the toilet just like everyone else. Every pony. Every pony. Don't say everyone. I will wish that I could shoot you. And that was the final blow, and that brought the pestle you put her on tumbling down. And you were trying to come to grips with the fact that everything you put on your life was a self-inflicted delusion when Luna sent that letter and actually supported your idea that Celestia doesn't use the bathroom, which made your hopes soar like a tortoise being carried by an eagle, only to be dashed upon the rocks of agony when she said it was all a lie. And now you don't know what to think, because even though Luna said Celestia does use the bathroom, she also said she's never seen Celestia actually go into one, so how would she know? Maybe Princess Celestia is special and everything she eats is used as fuel to power the sun. Twilight nodded. And you can't get the mental image out of your head. The temperature in the room dropped low enough that if any scientists had been monitoring, they probably would have discovered a few new and exotic forms of liquid helium. That has got to be probably the most interesting way to say the room grew cold that I've ever seen. Well done. Pinkie, Applejack said in a low and urgent voice. I don't think she had that second problem until you brought it up. But don't worry, Twilight. You can fix this problem just like you do everything else. Now, this is a good example of not actually needing a said tag. This right here. Applejack was speaking to Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie had been going on a rant, and as we all know, Pinkie Pie would continue it. Unobstructed, I think is the word I was looking for. Uninterrupted, probably. Because she's Pinkie Pie. So, the way this is written, the timing, and Applejack mentioning Pinkie to say that she's talking to her, this perfectly sets up that this is Pinkie Pie speaking. The point is that you know who's speaking. If it's unclear who's speaking, you need a said tag, but this is a great example of when you don't need a said tag. And just like that, the temperature was back to a balmy 74 degrees. For the first time in what felt like years, Twilight felt a little glimmer of real hope. I can? How? Rainbow Dash swooped down next to Rarity and whispers in the ear. 5 bits, she says, party. A lady never bets against a sure thing. Rarity whispers out. Actually, no, not just a lady. A smart person never bets against a sure thing. In fact, you really would have to be an idiot to bet against Pinkie Pie saying party. Pinkie Pie thrust her hoof into the air. With research, every pony stared at Pinkie Pie dumbfounded. Now, I know I saw that joke coming a mile away, but I still must say, well delivered. Because even though it was, although, granted, it wasn't one of those jokes that you're supposed to see coming a mile away, and there are jokes that work like that, and in fact, they're funnier the longer you prolong it, to a point. But, this one, I have to say was well delivered, even though I saw it coming a mile away. Pinkie folded her hooves in front of her and glared at Rainbow Dash and Rarity, saying, I think more I think about more than just parties, you know. Ahem. Rarity gave a little cough and gently put her friend down on solid ground. Sorry. Twilight sat up on the couch and cast a confused look at her friend. Research? Yeah, silly. You're a scientist, and when scientists have a question, they don't try to blow up Ponyville. They do research. You can't figure out what it means if Princess Celestia goes to the bathroom if you don't know she goes to the bathroom. Whoa, Nelly. Applejack jumped up and down and waved to his frantically at Pinkie Pie to stop, but she might as well have been trying to stop Big Mac from going after an apple fritter with a piece of string and a prayer. I know the perfect book to start with, too, Pinkie cried triumphantly as she dashed to one of the shelves and pulled out a very thin hardcover book. You know, Pinkie Pie should almost be the librarian. Like, whenever Twilight can't find a book, Pinkie's like, oh, it's right here! It was under E! Which it would be. I mean, something. I don't know. I can't remember the exact title of the book, but it would have made sense that it was under E. Something to do with the elements of harmony, but starts with an E. On the cover was a picture of a foal, a donkey's hind end, a goose, and an apple. The title read, Everyone Potties. Twilight tapped her chin as she contemplated the book. You know, I think you're right, Pinkie. Sorry, just give me a moment. 10 minutes should be long enough. Postpone. I think you're right, Pinkie. I need to stop freaking out about this and approach it like a scientist. I've already read that book, though. She raised her head to look up at the interior balcony where Spike was taking a midday nap in his basket and called out his name. Spike! After a moment's pause, a scaly purple head poked out over the edge and looked down at her with sleepy eyes. Yeah, Twilight? Spike, please take a letter. Why is not scrolling? Far away in Canterlot, Princess Celestia was explaining to the wonderful ponies in charge of Equestria's budget why she would not sign a bill doubling the sales tax when a chill ran down her spine, as if some pony had just walked over her grave. In another part of Canterlot, a rush of magic and a flash of green fire deposited a scroll on a pillow next to the slumbering Princess Luna. I am very interested to read the rest of this, but we're coming up on an hour here in about 8 minutes, and I don't think I'm going to get through all that in just 8 minutes. So I'm going to stop it here. I do like the humor and the storyline. The jokes are well delivered. The chapters end well. I do not like Luna or Celestia. I think both of them are very out of character, and I just don't like it at all. And it doesn't feel like it's supposed to be like that. It feels like you just don't have a clue what you're doing with them, or that it was done that way for the story, which I think the story should. If you're going to have someone out of character for a story, it should be the point of the story that they're out of character. You shouldn't just, oh, I'm going to change their character just to fit the story. I don't think you should do that. So I was very unhappy with that, and your grammar could use work. But other than that, I have to say it was well done. So there we go, 1301. I'm going to put this on my read later list so that I can read it later. And this has been Rainy Readings with Bleeding Raindrops. I represent Pregnant Stallion. Well, I'm doing this for Pregnant Stallion Radio, so you can check on there. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments if you like the video, or you can come over to this thread, Rainy Readings, and drop me a comment or something, what you thought about the story, any comments you had on the story or the way I read it. If you have a story you want me to read, go ahead and drop it here, and then make sure to check out this link, and vote on the stories and all that. So, yeah. And, in about 3 hours, I think I said, tune in again, where I will be reading, and because I'm so excited to read it, I saw it on the list, I was looking at the list, and it was the top voted one, and I was looking at it, and I was like, wow, that was fast. And I wanted to read it for some reason, and I looked at it, and it was dark/comedy. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to read this. I will be reading in 3 hours, Fluttershy Gets a Paper Cut. Tune in. And with that,